What's going on, guys? It's Marcel Benson, investor and entrepreneur. And listen, I got a beautiful video for you today filled with information that I think can really change your life and take your trading to the next level. Okay, so before we jump into it, just go ahead and like this so that more people can see this. I think it's very important that this message gets out to the masses. Okay, also subscribe so that you can not miss another video when I come with the realness. You know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. All right, look. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm going to jump right into it. Now, trading, is it for everyone? Trading, is it something that I can do and be successful at? Trading, can I consistently make money because the statistics don't necessarily bend in my favor, right? When I look at statistics, it says that 95% of people are supposed to fail. Now, that's true. I can't lie. That is 95% of the people trading are losing money. Isn't that a hell of a statistic? Does that make you excited to like want to actually go and pursue this? Some people, it may inspire you. Some people, it may make you want to go run for the hills. For me, it makes me want to dig a little deeper. Like, nah, it gotta be something to that. So I dug a little deeper. And what I realized is that trading has no barrier to entry. There's a ton of just anybody's mom, dad, uncle, son, nephew, brother, whatever, that can just decide to flip open a laptop, open a brokerage account, and start trading. If you got a little bit of money and you know how to use a computer, you can call yourself a trader, right? So it's like, with that being said, it's a gang of people trading. So there was no test that needed to be taken, no quiz. You ain't have to pass no quiz, no pop quiz, no standardized exam. You didn't need a certificate. You didn't need anything. You just needed a laptop and a decision, right? And that's actually a beautiful thing, but it also, makes sense that that's the reason that there's so many people in here that are losing money. Because there's a lot of people that have no idea what they're doing, no training, and they're just risking it all, that gambling, right? That's not going to be you, though. That's not what we're doing over here. And I'm going to show you guys how you can actually go from, like working where you're working. This is not a pitch to quit your job. Actually, keep your job, right? But I'm going to show you how you can make just as much in your job so that then you can go and make a decision. I mean, if you're smart, I think what the smart thing to do would be to keep the job, match what you're making in your job, and just let that accumulate for a little bit so that when you do decide to quit, you got about 2 or 3 times your salary. So that gives you a much longer runway for you to step away and decide if that's really what you want to do when you take that hiatus from work, or you a sabbatical, or you resign or whatever, right? So yeah, don't quit the job. Keep the job, but stack, right? Lower your expenses. Stack, right? So we'll get into all of that in a little bit, but let's dig into this statistic a little bit more, right? 95% of people fail at trading. I do not know if that excites you or if that scares you, but 95% of people fail. Now, I just explained to you why, because there's just so many people from just random walks of life that have never, learned anything about it, but they just started it because they heard an idea or they saw something about it and they just decided. But I like to look a little deeper into statistics. All right. Okay, I'll take that. 95% of people that trade lose. All right. But is there also a statistic within the statistic? So let's just put the losers over here. Let's focus on the winners. Is there a behavior or a group of characteristics or habits that the winners have that 95% of them do, so that we can then go and emulate that and effectively become a part of that 5%, right? So do what 95% of the 5% does to get in there. That's how you do it, right? So I'm in that 5%, been profitable for years. My first 2 years were not profitable, and I learned a ton of lessons. And I'm just going to share with you a couple of things that these 5% over here do. 95% of this 5 does. And here's the list right here. So the first thing is you want to have rules. I know we don't like rules. And this is the crazy part, right? I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but these rules will be broken too sometimes, right? But as a beginner trader, you want to stay strict to these rules. You have to get to a certain level before you can understand when the appropriate time to bend your rules are, right? As a beginner trader, you may not understand the appropriate time to bend a rule, so you want to stay pretty strict on these rules. So I'll give you an example of some rules, right, that these guys over here are doing. Trading at key levels. We are not taking random entries. We are taking entries at key levels. Okay, what is a key level? A key level is a place that historically has had a very strong reaction, right? It could be a rejection. Maybe something came up to resistance and then it fell really hard the last time it touched that resistance. So when we see it approaching that resistance again, we're going to take entry there to the downside, not hoping, but anticipating that the same kind of reaction is going to take place. And we're not just doing this randomly. We're waiting for a reversal, candle and a confirmation, all those little things, right? That's a video for another day. But you want to have a rule of only entering at key levels, right? Another rule is you're only going to trade a specific strategy. Give yourself 1 or 2 things that you're looking for, right? A lot of times as new traders, we get this head brain scheme that we're just going to listen to this person and do this and implement this. So this person said this, and we got all these different things that we're working at the same time instead of just allowing one thing to work for us, right? Trading is very simple and boring. As a matter of fact, if you feel like trading is boring, anything for that matter, that's when you're in the thick of it. That's when you're doing really well. That's when you're in your zone. Because you're getting better, because you're putting in repetition and you're letting that consistency lead the way, right? So you don't need anything fancy. I don't care how much money somebody puts into a YouTube video to convince you that this is the way you need to go. No. You have to find 1 or 2 strategies that work for you, and you only trade those. Even if the stock is taking off or breaking down or doing whatever it does, you are staying true to your strategy and only entering when you see that taking place, right? Another is risk management. We're not letting the losses exceed the gains or the wins, right? You want to make sure that you're keeping a win rate above average. You want to keep it somewhere 70, 80, 90 if you're great, right? And also making sure that your losses are smaller than your gains, right? You do that over time. Math just says that you will be a profitable trader, right? Oftentimes, people will hold on to trades way too long, too much pride to cut it, right? Too much pride to just say, hey, this is not it. Again, when you get later into your development and trading, you become more expert level, you'll know when a trade is worth holding on to. But while you're in the earlier stages, we got to get out. That's 10%. We got to get up out of there. It's not making sense. We just got to get a little sharper with our entries, right? Let your reward to risk ratio be great. You want to have more reward than you're risking. So if you're looking to get out at 10% to the downside, you should be looking to gain at least 20 to 30% to the upside, right? That way, if you have the same amount of wins and losses, you could be trading at 50%, literally. The same amount of wins and losses, but your wins will still outweigh your losses because the reward was higher than the risk, Okay. That's just a few, but I wanted to drop that on you guys so that you could understand exactly what it means to begin to creep into that class of 5%, right? That 5% of traders that are actually making money and not just popping it online. Okay. That's how you're going to do it. Now, I told you I was going to show you, like, just kind of give you guys a little quick breakdown of, how to turn this into income, right? Now, the way that you turn something into income is by reinvesting, right? And consistently making profits. Reinvesting and consistently making profits. So, let's just say my strategy of choice is the 15-minute orb strategy, right? I still, to this day, I still use the 15-minute orb strategy every day to get that first trade, to kind of get my feet wet and be like, all right, we got one, right? I'm always looking for it because it's something that is high probability and consistent, right? For those who don't know the 15-minute orb, really quickly, first 15-minute candle, you draw the high, draw the low. The moment that you get a breakout from the second or third candle, either above or below, you're taking a call if it's above, you're taking a put if it's below. Now, this is a full video that is not the one that I'm doing right now. So go watch my video on the 15-minute orb strategy to understand, like, how to know when to get in, when to get out, how much percentage you should take, and all of that. This is, that's a whole different video that I don't have time to get into. But let's just say that that's my strategy, right? So let's say I have, $2,000 that I'm risking, right? And I want to get, let's say 10 to 20%, right? So let's say 20% is my upside and, 5% is my downside, right? That's a decent risk to reward, right? Like we just talked about. So if I'm getting 20% on that 2,000, that's $400 a day, right? Let's just say that's my goal for the day, $400. And this doesn't have to happen in one trade. It can happen in two different trades where you do 1,000 risk for one and 1,000 risk for the other, or it can be in one trade if you feel very confident about that trade. So you get your 20%, that's $400. That immediately puts you into the 6-figure earning range for the year. There's 200 something, I think it's like 262 or something like that, trading days in a year. And if you can bring in $400, that puts you over $100,000 a year, right? So, in 1 to 2 trades a day at that risk, you can be replacing, your income or just adding to your income. Now, it sounds like it may be overly simple, but that's what takes so many people out. People think that things are not simple, and then they go ahead and complicate them. They're like, nah, this has been work. Isn't that kind of crazy when you think about it? Like, nah, this has been working too well. Maybe I should try something else. Really sit with that. When something is working, we like, you know what? This has been working too well. Maybe I should try something else. It's like, hold on. You said it was working, right? It's working. If it's working, let's let it keep working. This is where the boring part comes in. It's like, if something's working, just keep doing it. When you choose a strategy to try and assess, you got to give that thing at least 90 days before you're even thinking about switching things up. You don't know enough. You don't have enough data to even critique yourself, right? So get really comfortable with the boring stuff. Get comfortable with being patient, slowing things down. I'm telling you, it's going to make a world of difference. All right. So, yeah, you got that down. You got your strategy going. You're making your 20%, a day on your $1,000 or your $2,000, and now you're in the $100,000 club. And again, you can scale that down. I'm not saying that everybody has $1,000 or $2,000 to risk on a play, because you would need to have at least like $10,000 to $15,000 in your account to even think about risking that amount. But say you got 5,000, you could be risking 500 per play, or something lower. You can just scale it down, and then you could ultimately do the math on the amount of trading days in a day multiplied by what you were, or divided by what you were trying to make in a year to get what you need to make per day, and then you just you risk accordingly. All right. So listen, if you guys are new to trading and you are looking for a home, a family to trade with and build with, we have the Prosperity Collective that we're actually giving you 7 free days to come and test drive, right? Everybody that joins this group is finding out that it's a lot more than they bargained for, right? You're getting more than just trading. You're getting life. You're getting support. You're getting other people that are like-minded. Because a lot of times we trading by ourselves in a cozy little corner, and we trying to figure it out on our own. Just imagine a group of people that you can actually communicate with, and profitable traders, and myself and Zay, that you can actually talk to and get answers, from, right? Not your question, not just sitting in the chat going unanswered. Like, we're very active there. The community is small enough, for everybody to be seen and heard. So that's all I got for you guys today. Remember, you want to make sure that you have rules for yourself so that you can start to itch into that 5% of traders that are profitable. But again, it's 95% of them that are profitable that are doing this. Okay. Start looking at your trading as income, right? You want to, just to back up a little bit, when you do make your profit, you want to be putting that money or a portion of it back into the account, not just pulling it out, right? Not just pulling it out so that you can go buy something, but reinvesting it the same way that you would reinvest in a business, so that when the time for you to invest more and make more comes, you can do it, right? So if I got, $2,000 and I'm making $400 on that a day, within a week, I've already made $2,000. So from there, I have 4,000 that I can risk on the plays for the day, right? The more that you make, the more that you can reinvest, the more you can make, because you're leveraging money. And this is when your mind is just going to completely just go like this. You're going to be like, okay, all right, I've been spending 8 hours and working, consistently to make a certain amount of money. And then I have to wait a year, and I have to go through a review, and I have to get the approval of another person before I actually get a raise. And then I get the raise, and it's only like 10%, but I could be giving myself a raise on a 90-day period, right? I told you, try to let something work for 90 days. Because if something can work for 90 days, it can work much longer. But it's just a really good period of time for you to assess where you are. So get your 2,000 working for 90 days. Do that consistently. If you've gotten profit from that, reinvest it back in. It don't got to be the whole thing. It'll be like 30% of your profits, right? You will have so much more money to leverage, and that compounds over time, allowing you to give yourself a raise 4 times a year if you do this right. And in a 5-year period, you do the math. You done gave yourself 20 raises. That's not happening in a job. And again, like I said, I'm not one to say go quit your job, but give yourself the option so that if you do decide that, enough is enough, you can do that. But the way that you want to start is just by matching that income. So I want everybody to take their salary, write it down somewhere, write down your annual salary, and go and Google how many trading days are there in a year. And I want you to take the salary, divide it by that number, and that's your daily goal. Okay, you don't have to get there immediately, but the goal is to get there. You can even start at making a quarter of that, right? How dope would that be to be like, I'm making a quarter of my salary just for an hour a day of trading, right? Just think about how much just leverage that would give you, how much freedom that would give you, how much confidence that would give you to continue. All right, I really want y'all to think about that. All right, we're turning the trading into an income. It's not just to go and buy things. It's like we're creating an income for ourselves that requires less of us, right? That's when the door is going to open up to you being able to do more of the things that you love to do. And that's what it's all about, right? That's what the Resonation Club is about. That's what I'm about, right? That's what our trading group, the Prosperity Collective, is about. I got the link below to join for free for 7 days in the description if you want to check it out. All right. It's always love over here, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.